There's nothing like a crisp Diet Coke. Hello and welcome back to my channel. I am so glad you decided to click on this video. So, I know I've talked it to death. If this is your first video, welcome. If not, you already know. My dad passed away 3 weeks ago, and so this whole summer has been a pretty rough time for me, like reading-wise, focus-wise, and just content creating-wise. I haven't done a wrap-up since May, and I've read a lot of books since May, though. So I really thought I would just kind of narrow it down to the top 5 books that I read over the summer. So I will link below, well, not link, I will list below every book I read over the summer. If you want to talk about any of them, I am all ears, always open to have a nice chat about books. But I didn't want to make this video, like, extremely long, and honestly, I feel like it could have been me. I'm probably part of the problem. But just, I didn't have like a ton of really, really impactful reads this summer. So this is gonna be short and sweet, and okay, so let's just do it. So one I read back in July that I absolutely, it was just perfect, is called I Hope This Finds You Well by Natalie Sue. So this is a workplace, I don't want to say a romance, but it's a contemporary fiction, kind of literary of sorts, about a woman who's just kind of getting by. She's not really happy. She's kind of a miserable person, and working at a job where she, has a big rivalry with someone else in her department, and she's kind of like the one that people don't like. And so a new HR rep, like, kind of enters the scene, and while trying to fix something on her computer, ends up giving her access to everyone's emails. So not only can she read everyone's, like, emails, but also, like, their IMs and private conversations, and, like, I think she just has access, like, overall to their computers, so she can see, like, their documents and, like, brainstorming sheets. And she decides to use this to her advantage to get ahead in her career. Now, there is a really, really sweet side plot, and I don't really know if I want to tell you what it is, because this isn't a romance, but there is a romance. This book is so much more than that. I did not expect to love this as much as I did, but I thought it was absolutely phenomenal, and if you like just kind of contemporary fiction, pick this up. This is it. The next book that is one of my favorites of the summer is James by Percival Everett. I didn't really know what to expect going in this. So the basic premise is this is a retelling of Huckleberry Finn from the perspective of Jim. And it's a little, I don't want to say fantastical. It's definitely its own spin on Huck Finn. But I just thought this was unputdownable. I absolutely loved this. The stories, the way it was told, the writing was gorgeous. And honestly, don't worry if you've never read Huckleberry Finn or Tom Sawyer or any of that. I mean, a little background, I guess, helps just so you can kind of see the differences. But overall, this was just absolute brilliance. And I understand why Percival Everett is a Pulitzer Prize finalist, because the writing was just absolutely exquisite. I loved this take on the story, and I loved kind of how it ended. This was a book club book for me, and we often don't like the books, or at least it's very hard for us to get a unanimous love, and we, like, unanimously loved this one. So definitely a must read. The next one I don't have a physical copy of, but it is One of Our Kind by Nicola Yoon. This is sort of a dystopian, but not really, like, social horror kind of. So it's about a couple who moves to this all-black community called Liberty, and it's supposed to be just like a really cool kind of idea where everyone's black, everyone's been through all the same, like, struggles and everything, but the wife, I can't remember what her name is, but when she's trying to make friends. She's trying to, fit in, get involved in some stuff in the community. And like, nobody is interested in like social justice movements and getting involved in like the Black Lives Matter movement and like having a chapter there. It's like very, very weird. And there is, however, this like mysterious like spa in the area. It's like part of the neighborhood, I guess. And so our our main couple, they are getting so like pressured into going there and like, oh, you have to come to the spa, you have to see what's going on, it's like part of our neighborhood, it's part of our community. And she's very resistant to it because she's just like not sold on that this isn't, that they're not being weird. And from there, I'll leave that up to the reader to discover the rest. But this doesn't have a great rating on Goodreads, and a lot of the reason is something I disagree with. And without giving too much away, it like doesn't necessarily have a happy ending. It doesn't have like anything at the end that makes you be like, yeah, we got him. And I think that's part of the horror of the whole thing. So do with that what you will. I don't want to, give anything away, but for me, this was absolutely phenomenal and so chilling. Another one that I unfortunately don't have a physical copy of is A Well-Trained Wife, My Escape from Christian Patriarchy by Tia Levings. So this is a memoir, so true story, about a woman who escaped from an abusive marriage that was kind of let happen because of the church. So she did not grow up in the Quiverful movement. If you're unfamiliar, this is what the Duggar family, from whatever number of kids and counting. So that like a woman's purpose is to reproduce and submit to their husbands and all of that. Over time, she didn't grow up in this faith. She was raised very, very religious, but not to that extent and not in that denomination. And so it kind of follows her from her early teen years into her young adulthood when she gets married extremely young and starts having children, and just the way that her husband kind of gets just it. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. This was a really, really moving piece of writing. And the good thing is that from the beginning, obviously, because this is a memoir, she's going to be okay because she's here to write it. But it's a harrowing experience to read about. And I mean, I've had a lot of interest in like fundamental Christianity and that kind of stuff, and like people who are deconstructing from it. It really fascinates me. And so this was such a good book to read. And, it's just really nice to see that someone, people escaping it and are able to find success telling their stories. And the last of my top 5 books of the summer is You Will Never Be Me by Jessie Q. Sutanto. This is not going to be everyone's cup of tea because this was like one of those books that I feel like was made for me. It is a thriller. It's got influencers. It's got bitchy rich parents. And so this was just like what I needed. This book got me out of a slump of like a series of books that I just couldn't get into that were really bringing me down. And this one I just like binged completely. So, I mean, I've kind of told you all you need to know. It's about like this woman named Meredith who kind of helped this other woman, Aspen, become an influencer, got her up to her level. And then Aspen kind of started to like be better and bigger than Meredith. And so they're still best friends and everything, but like Aspen's definitely become the more powerful and more influential of the two of them. And they end up having this huge blowout fight, and Meredith gets a hold of Aspen's child's iPad, on which she could basically get into everything to like take down Aspen's social media, to cancel her appointments with potential sponsors and everything. And it was just like such a wild, dramatic ride. I loved it, and I listened to the audiobook. Highly recommend. I really, really loved it. I know that's like definitely not going to be for everyone, but if you just need something light and like you want to be in on someone's gossip, but it's not your gossip, this is it. This is the one. Just like in my last vlog, There Is No Ethan, when I said, if you love drama and gossip and all of that, but like, you know, not being a part of it, just like other people's, yes, that one as well. And this one, you will love it. Okay, I do have a few honorable mentions I want to talk about just very, very briefly. So first, One Star Romance. This is by Laura Hankin, one of just my favorite authors. I really love her personality, especially on social media as well. And this is about a woman who ends up over time having to keep reuniting with this man who gave her book a 1-star review on Goodreads. And their best friends are married. So like they just throughout a long time, like events keep happening and they end up having to keep seeing each other, and you know, it's a romance. But like I really like about Laura Hankin's books are that they're definitely a romance second. They are just like about a character's life, contemporary fiction first, and the romance is kind of in the backseat. So I really, really loved this too. It was really fun. Strange Sally Diamond, which is a kind of a mystery, kind of, I don't even call it a thriller, just kind of like a mystery contemporary fiction about a woman who has like no memory of her past. She's very strange, and she doesn't have any memories before a certain time, and then she finds out that she isn't really who she said she was, or she thought she was. She didn't mean to not say it. Not who she thought she was. And the last one of my summer favorites is Pierce Oysters, which I did a whole reading vlog for, so I will make sure it's linked so you can go check that out and hear all my thoughts in the moment. So those are my best of the summer books. I hopefully will get back into doing, you know, wrap-ups a little more regularly, but I do hope you enjoyed this and got some new books on your radar if you haven't read any of these. None of these, I think, except for maybe One Star Romance, which wasn't even like part of my list, have been like super hyped, crazy popular. So hopefully you did find something new to pick up, and I would love to hear it if you do. So if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, I would love it if you would, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!